doing my own research on the Titanic conspiracy theory, trying to figure out if I could prove it or not. And I accidentally wound up making one of my most dangerous and important videos. Cause I started here, and I wound up here. And if you don't know what this is, today you're gonna learn some stuff. So there's this conspiracy theory that JP Morgan back in the early 1900s had something to do with the sinking of the Titanic because he wanted the Federal Reserve to get started. And three of the most powerful people that opposed the Federal Reserve were on the Titanic when it sank. And there's a lot of meat on that bone, and I wanted to see if I could find that evidence for myself instead of just believing a conspiracy theory. Plus, anytime you see the fact checkers come out in droves, you know you're on the right track. But it got me to thinking, where did this term conspiracy theory even come from? Surely it wasn't created by someone like the CIA to discredit people that were seeking the truth and asking questions. I mean, it turns out that believing in conspiracy theories is correlated to lower analytical thinking, low intelligence, psychological projection, paranoia, and Machiavellianism. Okay, let's do some lower order thinking. I mean, you could use your dumb ape brain to look up the Pike Committee or the Church Committee, which were both held in the 1970s. They uncovered programs like MK Ultra, where the CIA was trying to learn to mind control people by torturing them and in some cases killing them. American citizens, prisoners, people in mental institutions. Oh, they also uncovered COINTELPRO, where they were infiltrating organizations like the Black Panthers, Martin Luther King, feminist organizations, environmental activism. Oh, and then there was Project Shamrock, where the major telecommunications companies were giving all of our information to this NSA. Yeah, that was long before the Freedom of Information Act. But conspiracy theories are generally designed to resist falsification, like having public congressional hearings where they are exposed to be true. Like in Operation Mockingbird, where the CIA paid journalists to publish fake shit. Like the Gulf of Tonkin, where they used a false flag or fake attack to start a war. Never heard of that before. Or like where they had a fully staged testimony by this gal who was a Kuwaiti girl that witnessed an atrocity that built support for the Persian Gulf War that didn't really happen. I mean, the Persian Gulf War definitely happened. Just ask all those people that made money from it. I mean, conspiracy theorists aren't always right, but when they say something sounds like a false flag, it's probably worth at least doing some due diligence. So if you don't know what COINTELPRO is, today's going to change the way you see the world. It's shortened for Counterintelligence Program, and it's basically a term to refer to intelligence agencies like the FBI, CIA, or foreign ones like for Russia or China, subverting organizations that they feel are subversive. Infiltrating, discrediting, causing division, publishing fake news, fake stories, assassinations, basically any means necessary in modern warfare to undermine organizations. Confirmed list of organizations that were victims of COINTELPRO include feminist organizations, Communist Party USA, Martin Luther King Jr., Nation of Islam, a bunch of leftist organizations up there, but also right organizations like the Ku Klux Klan. Should I say that on TikTok? Like the Nationalist States Rights Party. In 1971, the FBI financed and armed a extremist group that they basically used as their secret army to attack other organizations. And this is literally only what's made it onto Wikipedia. You can do your own research. There's a lot more than this. This isn't even talking about the 90s and 2000s. And that's because Hoover totally shut it down once everyone found out. Like, over. Packed it all up and left. The FBI compiled an entire tape of blackmail on Martin Luther King and sent it to him with a letter that tried to convince him to commit suicide. And that was just a fucking conspiracy theory until some homies broke into an FBI field office and actually took a bunch of documents that showed it was real. Again, that is just the tip of the iceberg here. Blackmail is running our country to this day. Journalists and news agencies have always played a big role in covert intelligence operations against us, the people, often with explicit consent from management of America's leading news organizations. The point of COINTELPRO is to create negative public image for target groups, to break down internal organization by creating conflicts, create dissension between groups, to restrict access to public resources, to restrict their ability to organize, to restrict the ability of individuals to participate by discrediting certain individuals. You starting to make any connections yet to modern day? They infiltrate organizations. And they conduct psychological warfare by publishing false media stories and leaflets under the name of target groups. They spread misinformation about meetings and basically co-opt target groups. Officers of the law give perjured testimony and present fabricated evidence as pretext for false arrests and wrongful imprisonment. They pay for the creation of documentaries that paint groups in negative lights. I'm sure you've seen a few of those. You might have even thought they were real. Let's remember, these guys are really good at what they do. You're playing checkers. They're playing chess. Oh, and sometimes they just stop fucking around and just, get it done. So in light of all of that, let's piss some people off and challenge some people's perceptions. So let's remember that intelligence agencies that are often beyond governmental oversight have decades of experience at infiltrating and subverting dangerous political organizations on both the left and the right. And they do so by a variety of very complex tactics. Now, can you think of anything that might have possibly been done a little better with recent movements by the left? Like maybe a few mistakes were made, maybe a few pallets of bricks left out. I don't know. I'm not claiming I know what goes on. I'm just saying, and all you bozos on the right, I mean, we got lots of different things to choose from, but do some research. And let's be clear, the right to protest is very important. I'm not criticizing either side for protesting for their beliefs. What I'm saying is that in both of these instances, the protests turned into mobs that were then led to do things that discredited their own point and ultimately worked against them in big ways. Not to mention creating a lot of division between the left and right while we were at it. So I'm going to leave you with a breadcrumb that I think leads to the next opening of this big picture. And it's a little complex, so pull out your thinking cap. So in December 2012, the FBI released a bunch of documents because of the Freedom of Information Act about how they had been surveilling and using COINTELPRO on Occupy Wall Street. Occupy Wall Street was pretty damn peaceful. They weren't a violent threat to anyone. They were a monetary threat. They were people waking up to the corporatocracy that rules this world. And then in 2020, Katie Ryder had a unique visit from a bunch of FBI agents that had information that they only could have gotten in one way. She had discussed a proposed ban on tear gas on a private 90-minute Zoom call with Bayer, the mega corporation that owns Monsanto, and a handful of other staffers. Ryder says the two officers refused to answer any questions about how they had become aware of this private meeting. Who on that call might have maybe had interests aligned with the intelligence agencies? It's not the 1970s anymore. The deep state is very well evidenced, and they've been operating for quite some time outside of public oversight. And the more I utilize my lower order thinking and low intelligence, the more it seems like maybe the people controlling this world aren't actually our elected officials. Maybe there are other alliances more powerful and with more influence than our elected officials. I mean, call me crazy. Who knows? So I never did figure out what the fuck happened to the Titanic, but I'm sure we'll still get to that. And just a disclaimer, TikTok, please don't censor this video. That is all public information, mostly on Wikipedia. It's not a secret. This is definitely not misinformation. And government, CIA, anyone else like that, y'all guys, this is just for educational purposes. I'm not calling for a revolution. I'm not calling for violence. I'm not doing any of that. I'm not far right or far left. I'm just some dude trying to read Wikipedia because I didn't pass high school and I'm trying to catch up on my education. Because this all started when